Thank you, Ellen and Daisy, for your very kind invitation, and Judy, to be here today to speak on behalf of my family, really, and our community. It's a pleasure to support the Falun Dafa at this important occasion. A week ago, I heard someone right at the top level of the American government voice a thought that I've had for some time. In fact, it's a thought, a belief, it's even a nightmare that has driven my recent campaign of vocal opposition to the Communist government of China and its horrific abuses, foremost among which, of course, is the victimization of Falun Dafa and of the Uyghur community. I was relieved that someone in high authority in America, the United States Secretary of State Michael Pompeo, said in a speech in California, and I quote, "If we don't act now, ultimately the CCP will erode our freedoms and subvert the rules-based order that our societies have worked so hard to build. If we bend the knee now, our children's children may be at the mercy of the Chinese Communist Party, whose actions are the primary challenge today in the free world." Secretary Pompeo's thoughts mirrored my thoughts as well, and that unless I act now, and I act with energy, persistence, and without fear, my children and grandchildren and their descendants may have to live with their necks under the jackboot, with their lives endangered by an expansionist communist China exporting to other parts of the world the horrors that have been visited upon Falun Dafa, the Uyghurs of East Turkestan, and also the millions of other blameless and long-suffering Chinese citizens. I refer to the state-sanctioned atrocities that have been well documented: the oppressive surveillance in China, arbitrary arrest, severe imprisonment, torture, rape, organ harvesting under the most fiendish circumstances, and murder. We must never allow our free society to be subverted by the servants and friends of Chinese communism, or by Popular Front stooges and lackeys acting locally with a hidden agenda, to chill our free speech, to chill our freedom of the press, and to undermine our democracy. And through service to those pulling the strings in the communist dictatorship, to bring to these happy shores the grisly CCP inventory of tyranny and brutality. My decision last year to become active on this matter was prompted in part by meeting members of Falun Dafa at the Otara Saturday market. And I remember meeting and talking very enthusiastically with Hong Yuan. Subsequently, I have read much of the literature, including that very grim volume, Bloody Harvest, The Slaughter, an Update, by David Kilgour, David Mattis, and Ethan Gutman, which was published in 2016. I have said to people that you cannot research this horrifying subject of organ harvesting in China, of government-organized mass murder, unless you somehow condition yourself or harden yourself to prevent damage to your mind and soul. You need to develop new strength, strong nerves, a strong stomach, and a strong faith. So awful is the reality, and so threatening is the profit-driven momentum of the genocide and its evil potential for export to other slave states that China might obtain. As a way of insulating New Zealand from any complicity in this criminal activity, from any moral contamination, and as a way of shaming China into stopping their policies, I have been busy lobbying authorities wherever I can, although not always successfully. I have made submissions to the Minister of Health and the Minister of Foreign Affairs to ban the travel of New Zealand citizens or permanent residents to China for organ for organ transplants, and to stop any subsidies of anti-rejection medication upon their return. I've also asked the government to keep a database of people travelling to China for organ transplants. I've also sought assurance from our largest private medical insurance provider, Southern Cross, that there are no subsidies within any of their medical schemes for assistance to those receiving organ transplants in China or subsequent medication. And I'm thankful to say that they have given me assurances that they will in no way subsidise those activities. I've also sought assurance from the Auckland Medical School and the Otago Medical School that there are no plastination models or demonstration samples of actual human parts from China in those schools for use by students. We do know that prisoners of conscience in China, there is good evidence that plastination samples are made from prisoners of conscience who are murdered for the purpose. I've also sought to enlist the support of the New Zealand Holocaust Centre in the campaign against the China genocides. And I've also made representations to the largest territorial healthcare provider in New Zealand, the Waitemata District Health Board, to pull back on their growing collaboration with the Shandong Provincial Health Commission and other medical institutions in China involved in the organ transplant industry. I'm pleased to say that on this matter, I have met with some success. At its April meeting, the Waitemata District Health Board discussed the issues I raised. It also received from their own staff and from legal counsel a review of its relationship with the Shandong Commission and further information regarding organ harvesting from the Independent China Tribunal. The Waitemata Chair, Professor Judy McGregor, advised me that at its meeting in April, the board unanimously agreed that the Waitemata District Health Board would cease cooperation with Shandong institutions in areas of medicine that may be involved in organ transplantation. They also decided to ask the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade and the Ministry of Health for further advice on its heads of agreement with the Shandong Provincial Health Commission, given that other health agencies around New Zealand may have similar arrangements. So we can work effectively to keep our hands clean, to stop New Zealand from becoming involved, no matter how indirectly, with the ongoing oppression, brutality, and state-organised murder in China. We also need to begin a concerted campaign to make sure that none of the products coming into this country from China are being made with slave labour. But that's another matter. I am not a member of Falun Dafa, but I am an admirer, and I am pleased to work with the organisation's members and supporters to have their evil victimisation in China brought to a long overdue end, and to have the perpetrators of this crime against humanity brought to justice. Thank you.